Hey, Drop Pod listeners. You can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Pods at The Drop Podcast. You can also find the podcast and all of our content on YouTube at The Drop Golf Podcast. And you can follow our socials and see what we got cooking at The Drop_pod. Our socials are Instagram and Twitter. But no matter how you consume us, make sure you like, review, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow and listen along.
This episode is presented by the Law Office of Mallon and Tranger. Tom Mallon and Randy Tranger are board-certified trial attorneys who share more than 40 years of legal experience. They specialize in personal injury matters, workers' compensation cases, and criminal and municipal defense. As certified trial attorneys, they have recovered millions of dollars on behalf of people injured in accidents and employees injured at work. They have offices conveniently located in Freehold and Point Pleasant. For skilled and personalized legal representation, call Mallon and Tranger at 732-780-0230 or check out their website at tmallonlaw.com. Not only are they good people, they're good golfers too.
I forgot how we sign off on these.
Me too. Honestly, I was waiting to see if I started or you started. This is a Drop Podcast where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Poro, and this is Ryan Kulot.
What's going on, everyone? So here's how I thought we'd start. I thought we put out our list of 21 counties, 21 courses, even though it's like 21 counties, 75 courses. But I thought, Mike, and I wanted to surprise you, and I know you don't like surprises, but I thought who else better than to talk to us about golfing in New Jersey than Orson Rosas.
Wow, look who it is. This was a curveball.
Hey, Orson.
Oh,
Gentlemen,
Orson, what's going on, pal?
how you been?
I'm doing great, man. This is a little bit of a curveball. I had no idea this was coming on. No offense, I hate surprises. Absolutely hate them.
Here's the thing.
So, I had no idea where we're going.
I said to Ryan, I go, are you sure that Mike's going to be okay with you bombarding him with a surprise like this? He said, let's do it. I'm like, all right, fine, we'll do it.
I knew that Mike hates this, and I couldn't wait to drop this. This was
listen, this is great.
He was asking me last night, like, what are we going to talk about? I was like, we'll be quick, we'll be short. We dropped it. Let's mention some things that some people said about 21 and 21, and then we'll move on. And I knew, Mike, I had you when.
Listen, one of the things I always say about the podcast is, I'm okay with handling the social media aspect of it and, messaging people, connecting. But the podcast is kind of your baby. You tell me what we're talking about. I like to have an idea so I can be a little bit prepared. So always the night before, the morning of, I'll say, hey, so what are we going on today? Where are we attacking? Never once did he tell me that, Orson was coming on the show. So, welcome. It's good to have you on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
I already got a question for him. If I'm ready, can I start firing away?
Yeah, let's hit it. So,
right.
Mike, honestly, I know I spoon-fed you some BS about some things we talk about. I thought we would, let's see how long we go with Orson and go from there. Like, Orson, you saw the list that we put out. From someone who's played every golf course in New Jersey, we want to hear your opinion. So,
I want to go at him first. Let me go at him first before he attacks your list.
Okay.
Because one of the things that Ryan and I have spoken about on last week's episode was about certain counties that we have just not gotten to, okay? We went through and we said to the audience, hey, listen, give us some spots. And, the first county that I put out a question on last week was Bergen County. Because I look at the analytics and I'm a big numbers guy and I like to look at the data and I see like where a lot of our listeners are from. And there's a lot of people in North Jersey that follow and listen along. So I attacked Bergen County first. And the overwhelming response that I got from our audience that would message me back on Instagram or just DM me without even answering the question was the best spot in Bergen County was Rivervale. Now, being someone that's played every single public golf course in the state of New Jersey, give me your take on Bergen County.
Yeah, so firstly, I'm a listener. You guys know that, right? From the get-go, when you guys said you were starting this, I was a huge fan. Your first couple episodes, you said you were interested in all the public courses. And obviously that was a mission for me, so that was huge. And I felt that immediate connection to you guys. I think your listeners nailed it. I've also listened to every episode, and you guys talked about what you've heard, and I just caught up on the last episode this morning. Yeah, Rivervale is definitely the place to go. It's got enough content. I guess let's define what makes a good golf course or an interesting golf course. And this could be different for different people. You guys had someone on who said, something more challenging is probably better than something that's really easy to play. I disagree. I'm kind of in Ryan's boat where I want to feel like I can score out there in order for it to be a good course. And for that, like, it's interesting enough. In addition to being able to score, it can't be flat to me. It's not to say that there aren't good flat golf courses, but Rivervale has got a nice rolling contour throughout the course. You start off on the first, and like the fairway runs right to left, and you're over this hill as you just kind of, again, you're just riding a wave basically through the front nine. Then it turns into, and there's a number of interesting holes there where, you're not playing driver off of every single tee box. Close second, and honestly, it was recency bias where I felt like, this is up there for best in Bergen. Your listener said it too. Darlington is fantastic. And same thing, like there's just a tremendous amount of elevation change throughout the course, where to me, you get a really interesting time in 18 holes. So I think Rivervale nails it. I would agree with that one.
Yeah, Darlington definitely was, in terms of the responses that I had received, both what I was able to put back out there because people answering the question, along with just straight up DMs that people would send me. Darlington definitely was its number 2 in terms of like Ryan's initial list that he had shared out there. So it's good to hear your perspective and kind of agree with the audience because, listen, it's an uncharted territory for us. It's an unknown area, and being an expert like you are, clearly, Rivervale's it, Rye. There you go for Bergen County.
So I'm gonna update this list as we go. I put Rivervale and then Darlington, and then let's stay in Bergen, Orson. Rockley or Soldier Hill?
So when I played Soldier Hill, it was Emerson Golf Club, and that's back in, I don't know what it was, 2015. I'd have to check the list of everything where I logged all the dates. I haven't played it since the name change. I don't remember much of it. I remember it being a pretty straightforward course, and it's plenty tree lined. You're literally like in a neighborhood. It's amazing getting to the course where you're basically in Bergen County suburbia, and you just make a couple turns, and then all of a sudden you're at the front gate or just the parking lot for the course. And it's like nestled behind, like you wouldn't even know it was there, which is true, I guess, for most of Bergen County.
It sounds like it's a little bit like Ocean Acres, where we
Even
played
Ocean
where it was like a neighborhood you had to drive through, and it was just at the end of the street.
I think that's fair. Yeah, Ocean Acres is. I felt like there's enough space where you knew you might get to something. This is really weird. Like if you didn't know the course was there, Soldier Hill, Emerson Golf Club, like you'd have no idea to stumble upon it. Like Ocean Acres, you might take that drive where you're going down to the park there by the lakeside or whatever. But yeah, similar, I guess.
Okay. So it sounds like your Rockley, just based on how you described Soldier Hill, that's the fourth one for you. You liked Rockley better.
No. Sorry, I was answering. You said, does it have a different name? It did have a different name.
Okay.
It's been long enough, and I played Rockley very recently, but I also really enjoyed the red. So Rockley has 3 nines. The red-white plays as an 18-hole layout, and the blue is a separate standalone, which is a great story because they don't treat with pesticides there. It's like an environmentally protected area, so it's a nice place to get out and play a cheap 9 holes. The red-white stands as a pretty good course. I was impressed to see how much change there was in elevation there too. It's more rolling like Rivervale than it is like Darlington, where one end is really high and then you have kind of a valley. But the red-white course was really good. The conditions, I think, aren't going to be the best. Like, so Rivervale's probably going to offer you in prime season the best conditions, and Rockley may come close at their absolute best. But yeah, it's a good course, and I would definitely put that before I played the Emerson Golf Club or Soldier Hill.
Okay. Mike was, because of our Bergen County connections and connections, it isn't necessarily the right word, but because we have a majority of our listeners are up there, he was really focused on Bergen County. Do you want to, Mike, how do we want to attack this? Do you want to attack every county, or like Atlantic County? I feel pretty good about Blue Heron Pines being the one I want to play first, and then Ballamore, and then Harbor Pines.
Yeah, I would attack Orson with the unknowns for us.
Okay.
Like, I think for us, when we look at things specifically, I would say we're somewhat familiar with some spots, but like there's some that you and we went through last week, and we're just like, man, you want to talk about like Morris County? Like, I don't know.
Right.
I mean, Hunterdon, like, I don't know. You know, we kind of like, you know, I know for specifically, I think I said that multiple times, like, you got anything? And I was like, nope, got nothing.
So I guess I have a question for you guys. How are you envisioning this? Is this just looking to see where you want to go to first? And if that's the case, do you really want to see the best of everywhere first? Because I feel like you'd be let down by what you might run into in the rest of the counties.
You know what? That's a fair point. I think it was just like
I could give you my take on it.
Yeah,
I give you my take on it.
Hold on, let me formulate mine first. I think that's an interesting point that you bring up, Orson. I don't want to be let down really by any of these. So like I think if you're gonna tell me now, like granted, if something's like super awesome and then the other one is a dog track, I might not want to go play the one that's a dog track and might just go to that one again. You know what I mean? Like I don't necessarily need to go to, like, if you were to tell me that like I'm gonna get disappointed by Soldier Hill because Rivervale, Darlington, and Rockley are so much better, I might take Soldier Hill off of the list here. And not a knock on it, but like I might focus my attention somewhere else as opposed to going there. No, is what I'm saying.
That's totally fair. Yeah, that's totally fair, right? Like if it's not in the context of, hey, we want to get out and play all the public courses in the state, there's probably plenty that you would want to avoid, a ton of them. Yeah. And you'd be left with a list of like, I don't know what, 40 or 50 maybe. And that's great because you will see plenty in plenty areas in the state, right? You'll travel, as Mike has mentioned, to all the different looks and feels of New Jersey, up into the mountains, out into the shore courses, and everything in between. But yeah, I there are plenty of counties where you're going to list or you're going to see some of the best, and there are courses within those counties where you'd be like, why did I even show up here? And for me, it's something I wanted to experience, everything that golf has to offer or New Jersey has to offer in terms of golf. But yeah, if it's not the mission, then that's understandable.
Okay. I guess we'll play it. I guess for me, it's a play it by ear. Let's hear it out and then we'll decide. Mike, you sound like you had an answer.
Yeah, for me, and again, I guess after our early conversations about finding a way to play everywhere, I've kind of adapted and modified that take. I have. And I think the more I've spoke to you and the more that I did some research about things, I just realized that, well, listen, maybe that's not my cup of tea, okay? And not to say that I'm better than certain spots, but I think, like you said, I go back to like our Cumberland example that Ryan and I spoke about last week. Like, I'm not looking to play 9 holes. I'm not looking to play an executive course. And some people may say like, well, why not? It's just not who I am. Like if I play golf, I'd like to play 18 holes. I'd like to have an 18-hole score at the end of the day. And I'd like to go play a USGA rated golf course. And I know some people say, well, sometimes the executive is. I get that, but it's still not my focus. So for me, I'd say like, I would love to hear from your expert opinion who's legitimately played every single spot. Like, what's the best spot to go to? Like, if I'm going to Bergen County, you agree with the audience, I'm going to Rivervale. Like, that would be the one spot that I'd like to go to. And then if I get an opportunity, I'd like to go out to Morris County. Well, what's the best spot in Morris County that if I'm going to spend, half my day driving there, playing, like, where should I go spend some time? Like, those are the types of questions I would say for me, as I've evolved a little bit here from earlier conversations. Like, where should I go? You're the expert. What do you recommend? I'll follow your lead there.
Yeah, I'm reviewing your list here. I can see, Ryan, you're sharing your screen. And again, I listened to the episode where you went through them. I think you nailed a lot of them, right? I'll give you my preferences quickly. Atlantic County, I would have thrown in Vineyard National at Reno Winery. I like that course. But the list you have is solid. And
so I can always like explain why if you'd like to. So I've played that, and Mike, I believe you've played it too. So that's why we kept that one off. I also had a bad experience there with the flies there. because it was a super. I mean, it was like 147 degrees. I think it was 10,000% humidity that day, and those what are those big flies called? Like those horse flies? Yeah, they were
Greenheads.
Yeah.
the greenheads. Yeah, they were awful that day. So I didn't. That's the only thing I remember from that course. So anyway, that's why I didn't put that one on there. But again, mainly because both Mike and I have played it.
Yeah, and that's fine. So I'm assuming that's a lot of the list, right? Like, so you
For
guys
sure,
talked
it's going to
about
be. Yeah.
Twisted Dunes, Seaview, the Bay Course. Like, okay, I get that. That's cool. But the ones you have to say haven't been here, still need to get there. Those are fantastic courses.
This is one that
So
I'm interested in.
I wasn't crazy about I had a fantastic time at Ramblewood. It was a crazy story where someone from the Twitter golf community reached out and said, "Hey, I heard about your journey. I'd love to join up with you." That was my first experience doing that. Really cool. And we got off first in the morning at sunrise, and we finished our first two nines in the same amount of time it took us to finish the blue nine to finish the day. But in terms of course you need to see, it's been a while, so I can't say for sure. But honestly, I had a great experience at Indian Spring, which is also in Burlington. And that is a relatively flat layout, but challenging and open at the same time, where the average golfer may struggle, but there's enough for someone who's experienced to actually have a good round. The links at Marlton, I felt was short and tight, and conditions wise wasn't really worth the value. It's a fine golf course, but I think it'll get expensive in prime season. I can't remember what I paid at this point, but I remember thinking, wow, that's a lot for a round, especially I walked at the time. Um, Deerwood is a great layout, but when I saw it, it was almost completely burnt out. And so if you can know if it'll be in good condition, I'd say that's probably the best in Burlington County. Very, very open. My only knock on Deerwood is that it's a real stretch. It's almost not walkable. I don't even know if they'll let you walk, but like you go from hole to hole, significant drives for most of the front nine. And it kind of loses itself where I like to see most of a golf course. Ryan, you mentioned liking links layouts, and I love that feel where you can see the next 3, 4 holes over. You don't have that. If that doesn't bother you, again, there are some great holes at Deerwood. But I would say in prime condition, all of those, Deerwood is the best. Ramblewood is fine. If I'm remembering correctly, I'd say that the red and the white were more playable than the blue was. The blue starts to get really tight, especially as you start the nine. But yeah, Indian Spring, I had a great time there. Relatively open, challenging greens, though. They're in great conditions. So I would say that's worth a look.
So, would you put Indian Springs higher, lower than the links? Like, or what do you think of the Deerwood, Ramblewood, Links, Indian Springs? Is like the order we have?
I would say Indian Spring is definitely high. Listen, overall, again, in terms of layout and condition, I would almost put Indian Spring first. Again, that was another opportunity to meet up with someone from the golf community on social media, and he welcomed me into the group that they were having. They had like 3 or 4 groups go off. So I had a great time, but even the course alone, again, great condition and a fun layout. Even though it's relatively even, it's a fun layout. Deerwood is dependent. I think Deerwood could be number 1 in Burlington in prime condition. There are a crazy variety of holes, and it's really almost no contest, I would say. Like, if you can appreciate the layout of the bones of a course, as a lot of people say, Deerwood would probably be it. But again, it was very, very burnt out, so you'd have to kind of put that out of your mind.
Or look to play it in April or May.
Yeah, again, I think it looked so burnt that they struggled for multiple seasons, right? You'd really have to be checking in on the course.
Okay.
It wasn't just like I played in shoulder season thing. Like, there was some significant damage throughout the course, like they were dealing with problems. But yeah, great layout, fantastic holes there.
Okay. Let's hit the C's here. Camden and Cape May. We got Valley Brook and Pennsauken in Camden. Shoregate and Cape May National.
I'd have it exactly like you have it now. The only thing is, I'd say I played Valley Brook during the winter. As you mentioned, it's a Jaworski course. He has some phenomenal courses through Jersey and around the Philadelphia area. I would prefer Pennsauken. Valley Brook is more interesting because you do get some change in tee shot and approach elevations, but I wasn't all that impressed. There's a stretch where you kind of play over a ravine, which would have been really cool. but I don't know, it seemed a bit boring. That's really the only way I can put it. You kind of tee off over the ravine up into a blind landing area, and then you're in kind of a neighborhood backyard, and then you come back down over the ravine. There's a great par three. I think it might be like their signature hole. But yeah, it just didn't feel amazing. Jaworski definitely has better courses in Jersey.
Okay, so
So
you like Pennsauken over?
over Valley Brook, yeah.
Okay.
And that kind of echoes Lewis Kelly. You know, if you recall again, he was a huge advocate of playing Pennsauken in terms of the courses in Camden County.
Yeah. Going to Cape May, Shoregate, Cape May National.
You nailed them. There's not much to say. Shoregate is on my those both of those courses are on my must play recommendations. So I keep a list of things I say, like no matter the drive, if you're in the absolute corner of Sussex County, if you're in Port Jervis, New York, over there, right over the river, it is worth a drive down the Cape May to play those two courses. They're phenomenal.
Wow. Okay. Great.
Yeah, Shoregate is high on my list. I if you're asking me for like a top 5 without really thinking about it, they're clearly in it for me.
Orson, we had nothing for Cumberland County just because they had looked like they had just an executive course and a 9-hole course, and as we said, not really interested in either of those at this point. I guess can you confirm, deny? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, that's the way you guys feel. I totally understand it. Again, if you're not looking to play absolutely everywhere, there is no reason to go down. It's a great story. Eastland, the 9-hole you have there, it used to be an 18-hole. I don't know if it was a par 3 or executive course. They converted it to 9. And I will say that I just played it near the tail end of my journey, and it was the toughest 9 holes I've ever played in my life. I don't want to use the word unplayable, but I guess in the conversion, there were just some like visions of how they would turn it into 9 holes and which greens they would retain, that they ended up with some real like target golf. So it was very, very difficult. I hear they're doing work, so they're taking down more trees to make it more playable. So for those that are listening that don't care that it's a 9-hole course, it could end up being something really good. The other course is actually not even an executive. It's literally a pitch and putt off of mats. So I don't fault you for that. It's something I love. It's how I learned to play the game. But yeah, I think it was $10 to walk, and I think it's a good time, especially for people who are learning the game. But I hear you. Like, there's no reason to drive out there just to play Wheat Road.
I was just going to say, I have no problem with a little pitch and putt action for people learning. I think it's a great way to learn the game, but I think where Mike and I are right now is not necessarily what we're looking for. All right, Orson, so we finished off the C's. Talk to me about Essex. We got Rock Springs, Francisburn, and Week Wake.
Super solid. You guys are absolutely right about Rock Spring. It's not like, you haven't heard about it. I think it's one of 2 public Rainer courses, so it's an absolute must play. And you have template holes there if you're learning about or you're into golf course architecture. It's great to be able to see that on a public course. Francisburn, absolutely. That's a great story too, right? It's right in the backyard of Essex County Country Club. And I think it actually used to be like an extension of it. That's a Banks design and just a phenomenal course to play along a hillside. Over Week Week, I like Week Week. Exactly what you said about it is cool to have a course basically in the middle of a city. But I would probably send you to Hendricks Field before you go to Week Wake.
Okay.
They just did a renovation there, and so the course should be looking really nice. And it was a fun layout as is. But yeah, those are definitely a spaced out 3rd and 4th from Rock Spring and Francisburn.
To me, when I think about Essex, it's similar to Cape May, where Rock Springs for me is a top 5. It's a top 5, like you said, Rainer course, few public spots that he has done. To me, it's like Shoregate, Cape May separates itself. It's the same thing for Essex County. Like Rock Springs, clearly for me separates itself.
This summer will be a failure if I don't go play Rock Springs. I think that's how high I want.
Yeah,
to go play.
I definitely agree with that.
It's in good enough condition where you wouldn't even have to wait for prime season. Like if you could do spring or fall, you'll have. And actually, it looks gorgeous in the fall too.
I just meant 2023. I don't need to go in the summertime. Yeah, I just meant like this year. For me, that's how high it is.
Gotcha.
Gloucester, Riverwind, Scotland Run, and Wedgwood.
I rank, it's cool. You guys didn't mention Wedgwood. It's cool to see it on the list. I rank Scotland Run above Riverwinds. I think it's really tight, and it's going to be a matter of preference, obviously, like all these lists are. But I love the look of Scotland Run. Riverwinds also looks really cool. It plays nicely. Ryan, you'll love it because it is mostly Links-ish, Links style.
That's what I'm talking about.
But yeah, it didn't blow me away. And I had a phenomenal round there. I had my career best there. But
Whoa, what's that? Give us a number.
I shot 75 there.
Hey, now, let's go.
Whoa, that better be in the handicap.
I want to shout out the member there. He was basically like a caddy. Like, he told us absolutely everything about the course. That was a massive help. So really cool to know that the membership is nice there. It is public, obviously, but they do a membership, I guess, across all the Jaworski courses. So I had a great time, obviously, with his help, and shooting a score like that, you can't have a bad day. But yeah, I'm trying to be objective about it. I love the way Scotland Run look, and Scotland Run has that amazing feature where I don't know that you have anything like it in the state of New Jersey and maybe anywhere else, but you have that 16th hole where there's a plane in a massive waste area. Like, that just looks incredible. So you tee off across
right there on the right-hand side?
Yeah. Like, you're teeing off to a landing area across the waste area chasm, I'll call it. And it looks like you're landing perpendicular, or your landing area is perpendicular to your sight line. And yeah, you'd look down and to the right a bit. And it is a small, like, I don't know what it is, a biplane, or I don't know what to call it, but that's just, it's a really cool feature that, something to remember the course by. And it's a phenomenal hole. But again, the rest of the course too is just playable, but really interesting. Definitely my recommendation in Gloucester. Wedgwood, sorry, before I go there, Wedgwood, I will say, I would not have recommended it, but it is absolutely, the back nine at Wedgwood is one of the toughest I played. Like I said, Eastland is definitely the toughest 9 holes I played in Jersey. The back nine will test you at Wedgwood, and it is a good course. There are a few really good holes on that course overall. I just don't know that I would send someone out all the way there just to play it.
Okay.
Real quick, can I ask him a question?
I want to know about this airplane. Did you say airplane?
Okay. Yeah.
Go for it.
Plane. Yeah.
Did you say there's an airplane in the middle of Scotland Run?
Yeah, it's in the waste area. I'm pretty sure. You're making me doubt the hole now, but I'm pretty sure it's the 16th hole. There's a waste area, right? So you have the tee boxes that come back around the waste area, and down in there, it's probably like a 20-foot drop down into the waste area. You definitely don't want your ball there. So you're teeing off, and yeah, it's just an interesting feature. Like, any course.
Why is there a plane there?
I just think they parked it there. I don't think it crash landed or anything. I don't know who had a spare plane. I don't know the story of it. It'd be great for you guys to find out. But yeah, there's literally this.
We gotta. You
have to, yeah. But it's
okay.
I think the one thing at Scotland Run that was so nice when I played there in the fall was that 9th hole, when you're hitting that par 3 that goes right back into the clubhouse.
Yeah.
I thought was just like a picturesque par 3. Nonetheless, it's a very hard par 3. I just thought the visual and the optics and the aesthetics was so nice.
Yeah, that's a great example of a hole that it's water right?
Yeah, 2-tier green.
Yeah, right. So there's not I guess the water is enough to be going on for most golfers. But to your point, it's not like you have a massive drop or you're playing really uphill. Like, it is just the view, and the clubhouse there is gorgeous. I think I have a picture of that hole. I also have a picture of the clubhouse itself in the morning sun. Yeah, just a beautiful place overall, and that's why I think I rank Scotland Run a little bit above Riverwinds.
Okay, Mike, what was you had something
I forgot now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't have the best memory, Ray.
I apologize.
That's all right. I'll come back. It'll come back to me when we're like up in Sussex.
And we'll come back to it. So, Orson, the only reason I put Riverwinds, and I think I in the quick decision, I think I'm going to leave it, only is because Mike's already played Scotland Run.
You should get to both.
That would be,
yeah, I totally hear that, but you should absolutely get to both, you guys. Whoever hasn't seen one or the other, just make it a point. They are both absolutely worth it. I'm just saying, for me, Scotland Run ranks just a tiny bit above Riverwinds.
Okay. Hudson County.
That might be a 36-hole day.
Yeah. Hey, I'm good with that. I also think so. Like Mike and I talked about going to Cumberland County, and like if we could hit that 9-hole on the way back from something or heading to something, that would be a way. I'm not discounting Cumberland County. I'm not going to drive 2.5 hours to play 9 holes. So if there's something,
You made me think of my question.
Go ahead.
So, Orson, just to clarify for the audience that here's when you say the toughest 9 holes, right? Do you mean like the conditions of how poorly the course is manicured, or as in the difficulty of the golf course being really hard? Because I just want to make sure that if like the audience understands like where you're coming from in terms of like when you say difficult.
Yeah, difficulty playing.
Gotcha. Conditions.
No, not conditions. Difficulty playing. Like you'll have a hard time scoring there. Sorry. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Conditions aside, because again, you should check also. Like that day, the greens they probably hadn't been mowed and rolled for a while, so conditions are an element there. But assuming you get to Eastland in its best conditions, without them doing any more tree removal or whatever, that was the toughest target golf I've played.
Understood.
I don't really have a reason to hear you talk about Skyway and Hudson just because there's only one, and Mike and I are both adamant about getting there. I think Skyway would be another one where, like, I think we failed 2023 if we didn't get to Skyway, being that we've been talking about it since episode 1. So
absolutely, and I've heard you guys talk about it a few times. You haven't said anything that I could add any more to. It's your only public option in Hudson, but yeah, it's a phenomenal 9-hole track.
Okay. Heron Glen, High Bridge Hills.
Nailed it in that order.
In that order? Okay.
Yeah. And there's only one other one. Beaverbrook is worth a play for those in the area, but yeah, I wouldn't drive you out there just to play it.
Okay. Heading to Mercer. Again, Mercer Oaks. I think one of the only reasons I put Mercer Oaks first was it's 36. And I like the idea of like when they have more holes, being able to play more golf in a day. For me, I think that's a little bit more appealing. Plus, I've also heard good things about Mercer Oaks. So Mercer Oaks, Hopewell Valley, which didn't that used to be a country club? Like that was private, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's now public?
Yeah, the county bought it a couple years ago. They finally made it open to the public last year. I don't know that I would send you out there for that one either. It's a cool history. It used to be like a racetrack on property and a horse farm that they owned. And, they can tell you about when they converted it to a golf course, became a private golf club, but they are still doing some work also. And I think even from a layout perspective, there's nothing that'll blow you away, but condition wise also, they still have work to do. But Mercer Oaks, absolutely. You get two very different courses in the West and the East. The West plays Parkland style, and the East is links-ish. Again, links style. We don't have true links courses here, but links style. With the exception of a couple holes, sort of like Charleston Spring North, where like one or two right at the end, you'll be through some trees again. But
you mean the vastly superior Charleston North?
Yeah, I heard you talk about that. I feel the same way too. And I think that was the argument that South was more interesting because it was the tougher of the two courses. Yeah, I want to be able to score. So to me, I agree. The North is the better. But yeah, both great courses at Mercer Oaks. Mountain View is another great Mercer County option. It is probably the longest drive. It's close to the Delaware River. I don't know that, or Hopewell's probably the longest drive, but yeah, that's a tough call also. Like if you decided to play Hopewell Valley, I would do Hopewell Valley and Mountain View in the same day. Then maybe it's worth it. But Princeton Country Club, I hate talking about any course disparagingly. There's nothing to draw you out to that course. Routinely, they have had trouble, even up until, as far as I know, a year or two ago. They have drainage issues on the back nine, and it's closed. So, like, you could end up showing up and not be able to play a bunch of the holes on the back nine. Yeah, so it's hard to recommend that course for me. And even assuming I did get to play all 18, even assuming you do get to, yeah, there's nothing super memorable about that course.
Okay. So I just moved Mountain View. It sounded like that was the second one. And Mountain View is worth the drive?
It's a close call. It is a nice course, but again, when you're comparing it to some of the other ones that you have on this list, like Rock Spring and Shoregate and Cape May National, and you'll get to the Sussex County ones, it's not going to stand in that same tier.
Okay. And I think that's fair. I think that's again going to it knowing that like, hey, that's what we're getting into. I think is that mindset is needed. I would say
For something that you guys know, I would say it's like a Shark River, where like it's a perfectly fine playable course, and it's usually in good condition. It's got a nice mix of holes. There are some that are really challenging and some that are straightforward. But yeah, you guys are driving a ways, and again, to say where do I need to play in Mercer County? The Oaks courses are worth it. Mountain View is probably just right there, and then yeah, the rest I'm not sure I would
gotcha.
recommend.
Okay. Tamarack and Rutgers at Middlesex. You have. I would imagine you didn't play Tamarack under the new like when they put in all that money to the East course.
No, yeah, and a friend of mine just went out there. He's just starting the game, and he sent me some pictures. And the green, it's amazing to see like new greens, and they look flawless, which is incredible. I don't. I'm curious to see how much they've done. I know you guys have been talking about it. I don't remember it being anything special. So short of it being a complete overhaul, I don't know how good it's going to be, but I absolutely want to get out there. Um, I'm always impressed with any work that's being done to restore or renovate, and I want to give it a second shot.
I think Mike, you might. I think you threw the number out there. I think it's like a $10 million like that they threw into it. Like it's not a small amount of money. I don't think so. That's kind of what I think draws us to there is it seems to be again from my understanding a little bit of like an aura around this rebuild or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I think that's what kind of drew me to that place too, Ryan.
Yeah.
I think the renovation that they're putting money back into a spot makes it look from the outside like you're willing to invest in the golf course, which makes it more appealing for people on the outside to come visit the spot. Good or bad, I don't know. And that's why I think for me it's another spot that I'd like to go see to kind of see what work has been done and how much better it looks.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing story just for the local golfers. It's one of the courses in the county system. I think in Middlesex County, you get the two Tamarack courses on property, and then you get the Meadows at Middlesex and Raritan Landing, which you guys don't want to go to, but it's a nice executive course that I think has maybe two or three or four par fours. But it's a Stephen K. design who did Scotland Run, right? Like, so you get to see some really interesting quality in the greens at Raritan Landing. But again, for the Middlesex County golfer, like your options were kind of limited. If you're like Mike and you're like, I'm not going to play this executive layout and I've only got the Meadows at Middlesex and Tamarack, it's good to know that you're getting better quality golf as a Middlesex County golfer.
Okay. What are your thoughts on Rutgers?
I have not played it for going on 20 years now. I've heard you talk about it a couple times. I desperately want to go back. I had nothing bad to think about it. I had a great time playing with friends. It was very early in my golf career. But yeah, I'd be curious to see what it had. It honestly, I couldn't tell you if I remember like 3 holes at Rutgers. But thinking about the rest of the courses, again, I think you have it right there. It's worth a visit. As you said, it's the story just being the university course there. So it's worth the list.
Yeah. So Monmouth County is
Taken care of.
yeah. I think for us it's Sun Eagles and Hominy Hill, not because Sun Eagles is supposedly nicer than Hominy Hill, but Mike has played Sun Eagles less. So for us, that's why we went Sun Eagles and then Hominy. I don't think anyone would argue that one is better than the other. I think Sun Eagles has the bones. Again, being a Tilly House course, it's got it, and it's potentially going to be going private not potentially. It's going to go private. It's just a matter of time. I think that's where the owner wants to go. But that's why we went that order. So I think you would agree that Hominy is better than Sun Eagles, but that was our thinking in this process here. So I think he's trying to make it like a private country club community kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like living community.
No, it's cool, and you can see the work that they're doing there. Like I played while you still have construction going on. The work on the course, like they just redid all the bunkering, so those look obviously fresh and new, and it kind of pops when you're on the course. Yeah, I do like it, but I would agree. Hominy Hill is, I think, my vote for the better of the two. But again, as you said, it's a Tillinghast course, and throughout the public golf of New Jersey, you're not going to get a lot of opportunity to see that golden age of architecture, those designs. So it's always a cool opportunity when you say, hey, I got to play on a Tillinghast.
Morris was one. I know Bergen was one for us, but Morris was another one that, like, these four courses I don't know a ton about, and neither seem to stand out in, like, when you look at the Google reviews or the Golf Now reviews. So we're gonna rely heavily on you here. Talk to us about Bowling Green, Berkshire Valley, Knoll, East, and Flanders.
I like them all. I think the must plays are Berkshire Valley, just ahead of Bowling Green. Those two are must play. Bowling Green is a tad expensive for what you get, but it is a quality course. So you guys will be driving a ton. You may pay $100 to play that course, and I don't know. It depends on the golfer if you feel like it's worth it. But it is a cool layout. It is very tree lined for most of it, but a ton of interesting elevation change. The greens are really cool. They roll really well for a public course. Knoll East is a great property. I don't know if that one is also a Golden Age architect. I know that I think the West course is a Banks course, but it's totally fine. I don't know that I would have recommended the East course. Flanders Valley, you have 4 9s there. They make you play them as two 18-hole courses, so the gold gets paired with the red and the blue gets paired with the white. And I would say I prefer the gold red just because you get a better mix. So the gold from right to left, I think it's gold, blue, white, and then red, if you're looking from the clubhouse out onto the property. And when you go off onto that the center and right side, you are up into the hills. The red plays links style, just kind of open and flat. So it's the more interesting of the 218 composites that they have there. But same thing, I don't know that I would really say you have to make the drive to go play Flanders Valley. But Berkshire Valley, Bowling Green, absolutely. If you're going to see golf in Morris County, I would make it those.
Okay. I think that was the same kind of thing with Flanders, is that it has 4 9s. And I didn't know that they had to play it in that order, but that was something that I think interests me.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's definitely, just as a side note, like I didn't know how to count on my journey, right? Whether something was 2 18-hole courses or 4 9-hole courses. And it is weird, especially because they say, like, I don't know that they would pair you to say you can go out on the gold and the blue or the white and the red. Like, the scorecards literally say gold, red, and then the other one says blue, white. But they index them as individual 9-hole courses. So that to me was just the line I would draw, like, just say, all right, as I go around, Mechanic is the same way, right? You have 27 holes, but they're all indexed as 3 individual 9s. So yeah, either way. And as you said, if you're just saying, hey, I want to go to a place and play a bunch of golf in a day, it is great that you have 36 holes on property.
Yeah, I think that's if I'm a golf course, I think that's what you need to do. If you're going to have multiple 9s, you need to, or more than 18, I should say, you got to index them as 9 holes, because you can always kind of juggle them around a little bit. Ocean County, LBI National, again, that was an easy one for us. I don't know if you have a comment or you want to move on. But
completely agree. Yeah, and I was really impressed. I knew nothing about Sea Oaks, which it used to be called. So it was closed for most of the time that I put together my journey. And yeah, when I played it as LBI National, I thought it was phenomenal. Conditions could use some help, but it is a great layout.
Yeah, I think, again, these ones that are just one, I think, are easier for us. Same thing with Passaic, Preakness Valley. Dr. Mike, the TPI guy that's been helping me, he's from up in that area originally. He said that he's played it a whole bunch. He said we nailed it for that area.
It's the only, same thing as Hudson. It's the only public course or public location available. They do have 2 18-hole layouts there, the east and the west. So if you're going to play in Passaic, you're only going to one place for a public, and that's it.
I do like, again, Mike, I think that's a 36-hole day for us. I think that's a nice morning, lunch, afternoon, head home. Do you have a preference there, Orson, as to which 18 you like better?
It's really close. I was trying to think about that, and I don't know that I could pick. There are definitely some stretches in both 18s where you're like, wow, this is special. Yeah, if you held a gun to my head, I would probably say the West. I just like it goes out from the clubhouse enough where you start to feel like, oh wow, like it looks really different here than what I was expecting when I was teeing off on the first.
Cool. Salem, Town and Country, Running Deer. Anything for?
Running Deer is an absolute must play. That's a phenomenal golf course. The greens there are some of the biggest you'll find on a public course in Jersey, and
Yeah.
contoured unbelievably well, and really make for interesting putting. Town and
There's elephants living in those at Running Deer.
yeah.
Yeah.
They are massive and plenty bumps. Um, Town and Country, same thing. I had a cool story. Like I had driven down to North Carolina, and I was like, I got to do something on the journey on the way back. And so on my way back in, I was literally stopping at rest areas saying, all right, where can I play? And that's not far off the turnpike if you're coming from the south up north. And so I went and played. It's a very nice, like it's got a farm feel, just open area. And there are some interesting holes. There's some cool features where you have a green, and beneath the green is a tunnel. So I forget which holes on the front nine. You go and ride your cart through what is eventually the mound of a green on the back nine. And like Ocean Acres, you have an island. It's not like Ocean Acres because I think that's the only true island green in New Jersey. But you have an island-ish green. I think it's 17 on the back nine of Town and Country. But beyond that, yeah, same thing. That's a long drive to say that you must see that course. I don't know that I would say that.
Okay. But so you'd put Running Deer first?
Absolutely.
There.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say that of the counties, there were three. Again, we talked about Bergen, Morris, and then Somerset. And then maybe if we were to put a fourth would be Sussex. Somerset with Neshannock, Roycebrook, Fox Hollow, and Quailbrook. What are your thoughts there?
I agree with Mike. I lived around the corner from Quailbrook for a while, and when I would play, I'd play Quailbrook and Spooky Brook, and they're perfectly fine for local golfers. Same thing to say you've got to come from all over the state to play Quailbrook and Somerset. I probably couldn't make that recommendation. Shannock Valley is my sentimental favorite of all of public golf in New Jersey. It's the first beautiful course I had ever seen. As someone who learned the game on a pitch and putt playing night golf, it was just so vastly different, and the quality is phenomenal. It's a Herdsdan Fry design. They've done Erin Hills, if you're familiar. Yeah,
I've heard of it.
Yeah. Oh, they also did,
New build? Is that a new build? Is that a new spot?
they also did Hamilton Farm, right? You guys talked about that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I think, again, to me, like, I think when I'm listening to you, I'm trying to just digest it all and just take it all in. So I'm not trying to say too much, but like Neshannock, again, just like I went back to me, like that, it's Neshannock. Like that is the spot in Somerset County. I've been fortunate to play Quailbrook before. Like I've seen things about Roycebrook and Fox Hollow, but to me, it's like Neshannock. I don't personally need to go anywhere else.
No, I would agree with you, Mike. Yeah. Orson, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No worries. Yeah, I was saying the same thing. I think that's fair. I like Roycebrook. That's also worth it. I think that's a measure I'd probably have to try to quantify. It's like, how far would I make you drive if I'm going to say you must play a golf course? And Roycebrook and Fox Hollow are pretty close. But yeah, Neshannock is another one. It's a must-play recommendation for me. From the corners of the state, you should go out there at least once. It's worth the trip.
Okay.
Hey, listen, it's where the New Jersey State Public Links Championship is.
Yeah, they're not going to hold that at some dog track.
Nope.
I think Sussex is Ballyowen, and then everybody else, being that it constantly is up there as the number one public course in the state. I think the others with Wild Turkey, Great Gorge, High Point, Crystal Springs, and Black Bear. What are your thoughts on those Crystal Springs ones, and then the other ones we got in there?
Yeah, I would take High Point off the list. I think it only has two distinguishing markers. One, it's like the furthest course northwest in the state, the furthest public course. And two, it usually has pretty cheap tee times. Like it's $25 with a cart sometimes throughout periods of the season. But you guys should not drive out there to play that course. The Crystal Springs property, not much more I can add that most people haven't told you and that you don't already know. Just absolutely phenomenal. I think the thing I wrote was when you get onto the property and you see the hotel across the mountain backdrop, it's like you're in a Bond movie, like just some film location where you're like, wow, how is this New Jersey? I would add, again, since you're talking about making multiple course days, like a 36-hole day, you should absolutely play the Cascades 9. I know you don't want to count 9-hole courses, but if you're there and you're playing Crystal Springs and Wild Turkey, I would make the effort to play the Cascades 9. It's another fantastic 9 holes at the resort. Black Bear is great, really tight golf. It's a little further away from the property, even though it's owned by the same system. But yeah, that's worth a look as well.
But that's the same with Ballyowen. Ballyowen's not exactly like Crystal Springs is next to the hotel, but Ballyowen is they got you can take a shuttle from.
That's good to know. I actually didn't know
there.
that. Yeah, it is like 3 or 4 miles from the resort property. It's good to know that they have a shuttle there. I had no idea. But yeah, again, consistently ranked best public in the state. So whether you're going to stay at Crystal Springs, the resort itself, or not, like people should make the drive out to Ballyowen to play it at least once.
Yeah, that place was I mean, I think I played there. So maybe it was like 2021. I played in the New Jersey State Public Links Championship there, and I played a practice round. I had no idea like where I was going, and I told my wife, I'm just gonna go play this place before the actual tournament. So I go to book a tee time, and I'm a morning guy, so I want to go play as early as I can. I think I booked like a 6:45 tee time, and I'm laying in bed the night before, and I'm like, all right, let me see how long it's gonna take me to get there. Then I realize it's 2 hours and 20 minutes from Long Beach Island. I'm like, holy hell. I think my alarm went off at like 3:50. 3:50, and I get up there. I'm like one of the first tee times, and I'm playing with these 2 other guys, and they're like, so, you from the area? And I'm like, no, all the way down in Long Beach Island, 2.5 hours away. They looked at me like I was on crack.
Yeah. And again, going back to those are the drives you're going to have to make to Bergen County. Like I would temper expectations. That's why I like what you're saying, where if you just want to see the best, and you guys will hear about the rest from listeners and whatever else. Yeah, you're going to have some long drives ahead of you. Sussex, Morris, Bergen, all of that. Passaic as well.
Yeah. We got 2 more counties. Union, I think, was pretty obvious with Galloping Hill. Ashbrook was one. Is that worth it to you or no?
If you're going to make a 36-hole day, sure. Like it's not, I don't think it's a far drive from Galloping Hill to Ashbrook. Same thing. It's a very nice local course. It's worth the play. It's part of the county system. I think those are the 2 courses in the county system. But yeah, it's hard to say someone from down in Salem County should come up and play Ashbrook.
Gotcha.
The one thing I will add, if you are interested in some history, and again, course aside, it's worth knowing about in Union County, Scotch Hills Country Club. So you guys familiar with it at all?
Not even a little.
Yeah, so it was the first Black-owned golf club, country club in the United States. And I don't know if you know who John Shippen is, but he was the first American-born golf professional. He called that home from like the early 30s to the mid 60s when the town finally brought it. But it's just some really, really cool history to know that that's part of public golf in the United States in New Jersey. And they have the old clubhouse there is the Shady Rest Museum, just in dedication to the old name of the clubhouse. And they just had their centennial. I think it was 1921. So a couple of years ago, they celebrated 100 years of history there. Again, you don't get to see a lot of history, as we said, the architects. This is just a really cool piece to say, wow, I had no idea that was in New Jersey. That's the way I felt on my journey, just learning about the place.
So that is super interesting to me. You said that's Scotch Plains?
The course it's in Scotch Plains. The course is called Scotch Hills Country Club. It is only a 9-hole. It's got some fun holes, but it is a relatively short 9-hole course. It's probably great for a scramble. But again, in terms of just the history of the course itself, it is really cool to see that and learn about it.
Cool. Yeah, that I nerd out over that kind of history stuff. And then obviously we're ending in Warren County, and Architects I think is everyone's far and away number one there.
Yeah, it's not close. Same thing. Like I think you have Harker's Hollow and Minebrook, and again, they are public options in the area, but nothing comes close to what they offer at Architects.
Yeah, I think that's one that I kind of knew. I'm not necessarily willing to drive 2 hours to something just from what I saw. Like it didn't seem like it was worth it to me. And that's all the courses. So we're all
with the expert. With the expert.
Right. This was awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. Again, it's one man's opinion. I felt it was something I wanted to do, just see them all. But I like the way you guys have shaped it. You know, you're trying to say, what can I see that's actually worth seeing around the state? And you guys will have some incredible stories as you go through this. So I appreciate you let me help you out on the journey.
Yeah, no problem. Obviously, I don't think that anybody should be talking about public golf courses in the state without at least consulting you, who's been to all of them and can give us that kind of comparison. So this was awesome, Orson. Thank you so much for jumping on and joining us here.
I appreciate it, Ryan.
Yeah, I'll add one more thing for the audience. I mean, Orson does a phenomenal job on social media. You should go give him a follow on Twitter at Orson Rosas. He's always on there. He's very active. And I'm sure if the audience has any questions of their own, he's a great resource to tap into.
I appreciate that, Mike.
And Orson, why don't you also plug the YouTube channel that you just got out as well?
Yeah. Thank you both. I'm trying to. I've collected some video over the years, and now that I'm done just running around all over the state, I want to take my time and say, all right, what can I capture in terms of stories about courses? So the channel's called Orson Rosas Golf, and I've only got a few videos on there that is really mostly the drone footage that I've captured from a few places. But I appreciate that. So as I try to grow that, I want to share the courses that I've been to and any stories about those places.
Awesome.
Well, Orson, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. And again, go check him out on Instagram and his YouTube page. All
right. Thank you both.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
See you, pal. All right, Ryan. Well, listen, that was a nice little surprise there. I had no clue that Orson was coming on, and I think you nailed it on the head when you're talking about public golf courses in the state of New Jersey. And I get it, we're going to be different in Orson in terms of the journey and him trying to get to every spot and then obviously accomplishing his goal. But us trying to find spots that are like, spots that we need to get to. You nailed it on the head with Orson. He's the expert. He knows things much better than we do in terms of where to go. So kudos to you with that little surprise right there.
I know you hate surprises, but I thought that was a good surprise. I thought you would. Again, I know you hate them, but I thought you'd like that one.
Yeah, no doubt. That was perfect. All right, Ryan, you all good for today?